This is Smoking Out the Closet. Now, here are your hosts, Alex and Rayven Greer.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Smoking Out the Closet. My name's Rayven, and I use she/her pronouns. So this week, Alex has just been going through a lot with their current job, and they've kind of just needed a mental health break. So I'm giving them that, and I'm kind of recording this episode by myself this week. And hopefully next week, everything kind of gets back into gears, and Alex will be all right to make another episode. But until then, I guess welcome to part 2 of Chirping with Rayven. So this week I have a couple things I wanted to talk about, and mostly just comes to two major things, but I'm gonna do both sides of the LGBT and the cannabis community in these. But before I go any further, I want to talk about what I'm currently using right now. I am using Prime. They have a live liquid resin, or an LLR. I'm using Prime's PT Star Queen number 28. It's got a nice, smooth texture. It is the cinnamon toast, I believe, phenotype is what it said on the box. But it's nice. It's smooth. It's got a nice draw. And honestly, what I'm discovering about liquid live resin is I'm actually liking them a lot better than the CO2 extracted oils that are in most cannabis vape cartridges because of how gummy the CO2 carts get. They just get really gummy. You have to heat them up longer. You got to hold the pen longer. And the tank kind of gets hot before you get any actual vaporizer out of it. So I am enjoying the LLRs a lot more, and I might actually start using them more often than the CO2 extraction ones. So that being said, let's get into the episode. Now occasionally I'll puff on this here and there. Actually, no, I should probably finish the review first. So it's got a nice flavor. I like, and I think most of this advantage is because this is a LLR. I'm actually going to give this a 4.5 out of 5 because it is amazing taste. The head feel it gives me, it's great for pain management and anti-anxiety, which I typically medicate for. Great flavor. Short high, but I mean, that's fine. It's definitely a throughout the day kind of strain to use, at least in the form I have it in. So Prime, I would keep this up. Just I know some of the batch that I got this one out of kind of was already burnt. So that being said, keep it up. If you got a burnt one, sorry. I know we've had a lot of people come into my dispensary and kind of talk about it. Some of my coworkers have talked about it. But when it's good, when it's a good one, it's good. But when you get a bad one, I think it was just a bad batch that he had. So when it's good, it's really good. When it's bad though, I've heard it's really bad. So as a good set, I got 4.5. That being said, let's get into the actual topics for today's episode. First thing I want to bring up is etiquette. And there are two forms of etiquette I want to talk about with dispensaries and the LGBT community. Now, I work in a dispensary in a medical marijuana state. So a lot of this is going to be etiquette based on states like this. And I work in one in Pennsylvania. You got a lot of you guys know, and those of you who are new to this show, hi, welcome. And I live in Pennsylvania. And so I'm part of the Pennsylvania medical marijuana program. Both me and Alex are. And it's just really weird. And I can't say that everything that we do here is for every medical state. That being said, though, I do want to talk about stuff that should be either general or stuff for every state. So, just airing that out, it might be a little different for each state. So, number one is don't be rude. Be respectful. Listen to your bud tenders when they make, when you ask them questions, like, hey, they're explaining stuff to you. Don't just be a jerk and kind of like, oh, you don't know what you're doing, or assume that because someone's gender or age, they don't know what they're talking about. But also, don't be a creep. Um, I've heard stories. I haven't had experience with this yet, but I've heard stories about some older guys who come in and kind of just like hit on the like younger women or don't listen to them because they're women. Don't fucking do that. That's bullshit. But also women, in the Canada, are afraid of the men that work there too. Like, these guys aren't gonna do anything. They're here to get you your medicine. They're here to get you your cannabis. We're gonna steer you in the right direction. We're not gonna hurt anybody. So here's what you do to be able to get into the building first off. And I probably should have started with this. There is a doorbell with a camera in our state. And I've heard it's in a lot of other states too. You ring the doorbell and put your card in front of the camera, but not cover the entire fucking camera with your card. Just put it about an inch or two away from the camera so we can see your name and the ID and everything, and we'll let you in. Don't just walk up, start yanking on the door. Don't just ring the doorbell, start yanking on the door. Don't just hold your card up and start yanking on the door. We have signs everywhere. Everywhere. We literally have 3 signs on our entrance telling you how to do this. And you guys still have issues with this, and I don't know why. It's like whenever you put a sign up for anywhere, people like not to read. I know you guys can read. It's mind-boggling. So there's a position to basically the greeter admissions. They're the one that is admitting you in to the building. Make sure they see your card so they can scan you in, kind of like a reception thing, especially in medical marijuana states, because the Department of Health in each state are probably really strict with that, and they need to know who's coming in. Now, with California, Colorado, these recreational states, it might be a little different, but still have some form of identification ready to make sure you're not a fucking minor, because you have to be at least 21 to buy a lot of this stuff, or have your medical card if you're not. Keep your card out to show the person you're the advisor, the bud tender, the person helping you. Keep it out just to be on the safe side. In our state, we need it out. We need verification every step of the way. So, keep it out for your bud tenders, your cannabis advisors. And it's important because we need to make sure, hey, you're getting this Schedule 1 drug, which is stupidly scheduled. It is dumb that it is a Schedule 1 drug, but that's the fact of the end of the day is it is federally a Schedule 1 drug. So we have to make sure we're doing a lot of the stuff to dot our I's, cross our T's, and make sure that, hey, at the end of the day, we know who's coming in and who's not coming in. It's like when you get Sudafed at Walmart, you have to show your license to make sure that you're not going to use it to make like meth or something. So it's at the end of the day, we have to go through a lot of stuff that our hands are unfortunately tied, and we can't just let you in. We can't. It's against the law. We have to make sure who's coming in and out. And in recreational states is a little easier, but medical only states, we can't just let you in. And it sucks. And I get it, like a lot of people are disappointed because each state is a little different. Like in my state here in Pennsylvania, we can't serve edibles and we can't serve pre-rolls because edibles and smoking cannabis is not legal in our state. That doesn't stop people from making edibles or rolling joints or ripping on a bong. But like, it has to be vaporized or nebulized according to the legislation here in Pennsylvania. And some other states don't even have that. Some just have capsules, tinctures, lotions, creams, and that's it. Some don't even have that. Some just have creams and capsules. So it's kind of hit or miss depending on what your state says. Don't complain. Like, I mean, obviously try to fight for the good fight, but like know that like it's an evolving process. It is not just this one thing that's going to be like end all be all. Like we've pushed for legislation to allow us to have flower here in the state, and we got it. But until it changes, don't like make a fuss. Like, obviously speak your mind, but it's still a Schedule 1 drug. There's a lot of loopholes the government has to go, like a lot of stuff the government has to go through and everything. So a lot of places are really high on security, especially in the only medical marijuana states. And it's not your governor's fault. It's not the president's fault. It's Congress. It's the federal government's fault because they want to keep it a Schedule 1 drug. And right now, at this point in time of recording, it's been a day or two since it passed the House of Representatives to become federally legal. Federally legal. But it still needs to pass the Senate. And that's the gray area we're at, because this is now the second time it's passed the House, but it hasn't passed the Senate yet. And the Senate is the one that's holding a lot of the issues. So until then, we have to make sure everything's secure, so knowing that it's secure and that kids can't get to it, because that's a lot of people's arguments is, what about the kids? So moving on from cannabis to the LGBT side of that, let's talk about etiquette when you interact with someone who is in the community. When you interact with someone who is out and proud in who they are, or if you speculate. So rule number one, and not even like these are no rhyme or reason set order or pattern. I'm just spilling them out as I think of them. First thing is, don't assume you know someone is trans or gay or bi or whatever based on how they look, how you perceive them, and how they dress and act. Because that's how people get hurt. With a lot of these anti-trans bills, bathroom bills that came around in the South and everything, a lot of cis women got hurt, harassed, and basically arrested under the pretense of them being trans. Now, some of them were gay women with very masculine looks. Some of them were straight women with very masculine looks. Some of them were just cis women, straight cis women that were like every day, but someone thought they were trans. And it caused a lot of issues. Second of all, the whole over explaining things. I had a customer recently, it didn't bother me, but it was more of, he misgendered me, and then he saw me, and it was like, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. And then we're trying to explain with small talk and kind of cover up my face, and I was like, see, you just hear her, she sounds like a guy. But when you look at her, she's a girl. And I'm like, yeah, but a lot of cis straight women have very deep voices. So, I don't know. It's just that weird, awkward thing. Like, just go about your business and move on. Don't just sit there and like try to explain why you did something. Just shut up and move on. Like, one I like to make fun of is in Letterkenny. There's this character named McMurray, and anytime he finds out that someone's gay, like a gay man, he goes, "Oh, you're gay. Well, that's cool, but I'm not a part of that lifestyle." And I love my wife. I love my wife. I love women. But it's no problem to me if you're gay. Like that shit. Just don't. Like, Just be like cool and move the fuck on, you know? Like, I don't. It's not that it's offensive or anything. It's just annoying. That's like, coming up and go, oh, you're Italian. That's cool. You're British or you're African American or you're Mexican. And like, I'm not, but it's real cool that you are. I like tacos. It's just something stupid like that. Or whatever food that's stereotypically associated with like whatever culture you're stuttering and stumbling over. I honestly don't know why I have tacos. I don't think I said, well, I said Puerto Rican, but I think thinking of craving tacos, to be honest. I don't know. Anyway, just don't. Just don't. It's plain and simple. If you know someone's identity and you misgender them, don't spend the length it requires to read Homer's Odyssey to apologize. Just say, sorry, correct yourself, move on. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Now, some of these are going to be a little more kind of things that I think people really need to address. Someone is gay, openly gay, queer, bi, pansexual. Do not make ships about them and someone else IRL. Just don't. There have been many times where I've known friends or even myself and friends because I was openly queer and hung out with one of my best friends from high school, and all the older ladies thought we were a gay couple, or me and one other person were a gay couple, or the three of us were a gay couple, or him and the other guy were a gay couple. Just don't do that, man. Just let people live. First of all, you don't do that with the real people. Like, if you see a couple and you think they're cute, or you see potential growth in someone, cool. Keep it to your fucking self. Doesn't matter if they're cis, straight, gay, bi, trans, don't matter. Now, if you know two people are starting to date, you can be like, yes, I really think they're cute and I support them. Cool. Keep it to your fucking self. I mean, obviously, you could be like, oh, I support you guys. If there's any trouble, I'm here for advice, kind of thing. But don't be like, it's true love. They're going to make it. You're like, it's like fandom ships. Don't do that with people IRL. Like, come on. Don't do that. Like, that's just cringy. Don't. Assumptions. A lot of this just don't make us fucking assumptions. If you see a man who's happen to be effeminate, don't assume he's gay. He could be straight and just likes feminine things. Nothing wrong with that. See if a masculine woman, she likes more masculine things. Don't assume she's a lesbian. People are entitled to like what they like and do what they want. But the problem is when that becomes an issue of safety. And when it becomes an issue of safety, you're basically hurting people because of a assumption that some people will hurt other people from an assumption they make based on how they perceive them to be gay, straight, or any other part of the LGBT community. I remember watching a video earlier today that a Christian group in America was trying to get rid of Teletubbies because of Pinky Winky. I can't remember their name. The purple Teletubby had a purse. Is what they perceived to be a purse. And because Tinky Winky is perceived to be male, that Tinky Winky was gay and shoving gay propaganda down kids' throats. It's a handbag. And in the show's contest, it was a magical handbag. So, what is a handbag? What is a messenger bag if not a really big handbag? I say a lot of guys use those. Also, who cares? It's a fucking bag. It is a tool to carry stuff from one point to another. Who cares? It's a fucking bag. Man, this PT Star Queen is fucking awesome. But like, don't just at the end of the day, to treat people with kindness, fairness, and open honesty. Just don't be an asshole. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing. It's just that don't be an asshole fact. Now this one might seem targeted to certain people of certain religious groups here in the States, but you know what? Fuck it. It's anybody. Don't use your religion to hate, and especially towards LGBT people, but like anywhere at all. Don't use your religion as an excuse to hate others. If you believe that you can't do XYZ, cool. Don't do XYZ, but don't say people are going to be banished to hell or, force doing XYZ thing down their throat because they don't practice your religion. And that's everything. And I've seen that not just towards the LGBT community. I've seen it not just from, I've seen it from pagan groups, Muslim groups, a lot of other groups, not just Christians. But it's stupid. Just do what you believe is right, and I'll do what I believe is right. And at the end of the day, as long as we ain't hurting nobody, who fucking cares? And I know that wasn't strictly LGBT stuff. That was kind of more also for life stuff. But I mean, don't representation. Just let us have it. Just let us have our representation. I grew up watching straight shows all the time, or shows that made us the butt of the joke, and I still ended up queer as shit. It ain't gonna change anything. Your kid's queer, that's who they are. Don't think it's a conversion therapy camp. Just don't. Or pray the gay away camps. Just don't. It's gonna make them more traumatized than anything. I feel like this just kind of turned from, just quick interactions to kind of life interactions with the LGBT community, and I don't know. I guess I didn't really write any of this stuff down, and that might be what my issue because I'm getting really high right now. Trying to think what else to say about that. Just kind of don't be an asshole. Well, that was it for that topic. So I'm going to waste some time in between my next topic, or between now and the break. It's kind of updates with me. I've officially finished my first week in the cannabis industry as a cannabis advisor, and I am honestly, I'm loving it. It's been an amazing tonal shift for me. I feel a lot more relaxed. And the fact that, it's even at our busiest, it's nowhere near like the restaurant industry, but we're making a lot more money. But like I'm helping people in a different way. And the effects that I'm helping, I also seen like it help other people. And it's nice. And it feels good. And I'm really hardcore vibing with my team at my store. And it's really awesome. And they're super cool because like that customer I was talking about was kind of like over explaining why he originally said sir when he meant ma'am. They were like, hey, his daughter works at another location of ours. I can tell her to be like, dude, ask your dad to stop. Because I guess one of my coworkers heard him and felt bad about it. And they told my boss, and I'm like, he just was awkward and just kind of did that awkward, like, cool, yeah thing, but was like also trying to like apologize and cover up for why he said what he said. And I'm just like, dude, just stop. You're embarrassing yourself more than anything. So, but yeah, apparently they're like, they want me to feel comfortable, want me to feel safe. And it's really cool. It's really nice to say, they have my back like that. And then, like, if anyone causes issues, they'll be like, yeah, we'll warn them the first time. If they don't, I'm banning them from the store. I'm like, Cool. So, like, we're talking about like trying to get. I'm not gonna say names or anything, but we're trying to get to like big events, and I suggested, the LGBT Pride event that comes here in Pittsburgh. So, because there was a huge history, like we said on the show before, like let's do something with our dispensary and Pittsburgh Pride. And I really think it'd be really cool for us to do something like that. So, I mean, it's really cool. And I'm really looking forward to like staying with this company. Or even if I don't stay with this company, just staying in this industry. Like I have my foot in the door now. And before we go to break, I just wanted to say a big congratulations to my wife Alex because they got a call earlier today that they are also now hired as a cannabis advisor for the same company I work for, just at another location. So a big round of applause for Alex. I'm so proud of you, hon. And we're gonna go on break. Well, I guess I'm gonna go on break now. And in a few minutes, I'm just gonna try finding something to kind of like talk about in between the breaks, or throw a little like excerpt or something in the breaks right now, because we don't have sponsors. Because I learned it's really hard to do sponsorships with cannabis in the state of Pennsylvania. So maybe growers, people like Puffco Peak, or like just other stuff that don't grow cannabis but like make stuff for cannabis, maybe. But I think I'm just gonna start like with something else, and I'm gonna kind of maybe do something in this episode in between the break, like for the break section. But yeah, I'll be back after the break. Alrighty, so Raven here, kind of just doing the in between break section right now. I'm trying to do a couple ideas. So right now, what my idea is to do a on this day in queer stoner history, where we bring in a little knowledge of our queer and stoner elders and the history before us. So today, as I'm recording this, it is April 4th, 2022. And let's go back to exactly 50 years ago to April 4th, 1972, in Los Angeles. The world's first LGBT synagogue, Beth Chaim Chadishim, I'm really bad at speaking Yiddish or Hebrew, was founded in Los Angeles on April 4th, 1972. Four Jewish people, Selma Kay, Jerry Gordon, Jerry Small, and Bob Zalkin, came to a weekly Wednesday meeting at Los Angeles' Metropolitan Community Church. In less than 4 years, MCC, the first church with outreach to gays and lesbians, had grown to 15,000 members. In 40 U.S. cities in Los Angeles, the mother church, led by Reverend Troy Perry and located near USC, or University of Santa Cruz, had 725 members. The presence of Jewish people at the church was understandable. In 1972, the existence of gay and lesbian Jews were virtually unheard of. It was a time when same-sex activity was illegal and homosexuality was still classified as a mental illness. To be openly gay or lesbian usually meant loss of employment, loss of family, loss of employment, and rejection by the Jewish community. The Stonewall riots in New York's Greenwich Village, often considered the watershed event in modern gay liberation movements, had occurred less than 3 years earlier. 15 people came to the service, first held on June 9th, 1972, in Jerry Gordon's home, and Beth Chaim Shadism, House of New Life, was founded in mid-city Los Angeles in 1972 as a synagogue for primarily lesbians and gays. It was affiliated with Reform Judaism and was not acknowledged by Los Angeles's conservancy as a culturally significant for both the LGBT, for being the first LGBT synagogue in the world and the first LGBT synagogue recognized by the Union for Reform Judaism. And in 1977, the first LGBT synagogue to own its own building. In 1973, BCC received a Torah scroll from the town of Shotebor, Czechoslovakia, on permanent loan from Westminster Synagogue in London, where it continues to be a cherished guest at the BCC, sorry. And that was our first today in Queer Stoner history. This section, this little tidbit of history I found online, written by Ronnie Solano from ronniesolano.com from Today in LGBT History. If you have any stoner, queer dates you want us to bring up while we're recording, you can hit us up at our email at smokingoutthecloset@gmail.com or any of our social media sites. This has been your Today in Queer Stoner History. All right, and we're back. Well, I guess I'm back. I don't know why I keep saying that. I guess it's just force of habit at this point. So my next topic is the environmental impact of cannabis and pride. Just kind of the environmental impacts of like these big events and everything. And I kind of just want to talk about it. It's kind of just loose numbers and everything. And I will get statistics down the road, but I kind of just want to talk about it and bring some of this to light. Now, I do have some statistics for cannabis as just producing stuff, but like it goes deeper than that. So, online, when I was on Twitter, I found, and let me actually bring it up so I can actually, because these guys are my Skittles for this week, and I'm by myself, so I get to pick both Skittles because why not? Sorry, I just gotta find where it was. So Chris Becker, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name, shared a cartoon by Brian Box Brown, who is a cartoonist, and it kind of just shouting both of you guys out for this, because Chris owns Honeybee Collective, which is a company that is trying to reduce the footprint of the cannabis industry, trying to make it a little more greener. And Brian made a comic about the issues of cannabis and what it's doing to our environment. And I learned some really disturbing facts about Pennsylvania's response to a lot of this and Pennsylvania's recycling issues. So I kind of want to talk about that, and then I'll go into like the issues with pride that it can happen sometimes, or any big event in any big city or little city. So first, due to the way that a lot of legislation is written in a lot of different states, everything must be childproof. Now, to do that, you have to make containers a certain way. You have to make containers molded a certain way. Now, some cannabis jars are made with glass. That's really nice. That's good. Easy to recycle if your state recycles things properly. Some are in cans, like cat food almost. Again, easy to recycle. But some are made out of plastics. These plastics have childproof threading on them as well. Or even the lids for the glass ones are also made out of plastic. And this is an issue because we have to make it childproof because we don't want children to get a hold of this because kids can get really sick. So what ends up happening? Well, for every eighth or 3.5 grams of flour there's generally 11 grams of plastic in that container that they take. Just old pill bottles, kind of, plastic containers. We've all had them at the dispensary. We've all seen them. Well, each of these are usually thrown into the trash. These trash are usually thrown into landfills. And instead of setting up programs like there were like in the 70s, 60s, to try recycling these products, we just throw them away and throw them in the ground. And in Pennsylvania, there's a lot of recycling things, but they don't get recycled usually. Unless you're in an area or a county that is very strong on it and does try doing the right thing. Some places in Pennsylvania, they don't. They just make it look like they do to give you peace of mind, but they don't. They just throw it in landfills. But each of these eighths come in at 11 grams worth of plastic, especially in the pure plastic containers. So roughly for every pound of flour sold, there's about 3 pounds of plastic thrown into the ground. And that's just flour. I've seen pictures online of edibles, a sealed bag for edibles that has 1 or 2 gummies in it. That's in a container about as big as a big league chew container, like bag. I've seen lotions about this in bags, resealable bags about the size of not the party size bags of Doritos and chips, but like kind of like in between the regular big bag and the 16-ounce bags you can just buy on this like in a grocery store. And that's a lot of air and a lot of wasted space for a lotion that's only like 3 inches tall and about like 2 inches in diameter. Like, why do you need that? It's waste. It is such a waste, and we're basically throwing a lot of this stuff away. My prime cartridge that I got, PT Star Queen, came in a cardboard container. Yes, cardboard's recyclable, but like there's certain things that you can't recycle. It's not perforated cardboard, so I don't even know if it's fully recyclable. It's horrible. And we're just throwing it in the ground. There's no way to recycle in my apartment complex, so I don't have really a choice but to throw it into the dumpster. And it's horrible. Where I lived with my parents when I was in high school, there was a waste management facility, and they just threw everything in the fucking ground. They built it on the side of an old mountain, an old quarry. I just started filling it up with trash. In some places, there's an entire mountain, or it's a really, really big hill, but it's just made out of trash that's grown. And yet we're continuing to give these putting microplastics into the earth. And that's not good for anybody. From the worms, to the rats, to the fish, to us. We're all going to be slowly filled with microplastics and die. We're killing our planet. But if we can have cannabis that does good and recycles and gives incentive to recycle, maybe just maybe we can start turning at least a small part of this industry around and lead by example. Now, it's not just the containers that are an issue for cannabis. States like Pennsylvania, where we legally have to have indoor grow, we can't grow it outside because the ground's not good out here. It's mostly slate and clay. All that energy that is required to keep those lights on, high-powered lights, it sucks a lot of energy. If you're lucky to be around nuclear energy, wind-powered energy in some areas, you get a little greener there. But a lot of places have to rely on, fossil fuel provided energy or energy plants. And, well, yes, I'm using electricity to record this podcast. I try going as green as I can with our service providers. And if we can, allow cannabis industries to use solar energy or wind on their facility, or just something to try making a little less of a stain, or a little less of a carbon footprint. I mean, that'd be nice. And it's not just the waste that we have to like burn or throw away of like the stems and the roots and whatever else we are not allowed to give to the customers for the patients. That Why can't we compost that? Why can't we, allow them to break it down to turn it into soil and fertilizer to nourish the next line of cannabis plants? And there's so many other things we could be doing to try making this a little greener. And I'm hoping that, like, what am I suggesting is perfect? No. But what am I talking about is probably just the beginning, like opening up the can of worms to hopefully nail that big fish of success in this. Now, cannabis cups, cannabis festivals, pride events, pride festivals, concerts, movie events, anything where you get a large group of people to something. Real big fish concerts, like Grateful Dead concerts, movie concerts, giant video game arenas, big sporting events. Anytime where you get a large gathering of people is going to create some environmental issues. And mostly that comes down to litter. Pride is no exception to this, neither is cannabis events. So much waste is made during these events. Flags, drink cups, necklaces, plastic bottles are increased because people are on the move, can't stop. Tarps, people buy so much and don't reuse a lot of the things they use to set up their little stations and events and everything for these things. Not to mention noise pollution and light pollution affecting animals and wildlife in certain areas. And these things all have an effect. And while, yes, I can talk about these things, share my points of view, and I may not like them or what they do, I don't know how to fix them. And that's why I'm talking about these things. Because I want to start the conversation to fix these things. Now, imagine Pride. I've never been to Pittsburgh Pride, so I'm going to talk about New York City Pride, which I have been to. Hopefully this year I'll be at Pittsburgh Pride. New York Pride had a lot of events going on. You had street musicians, street art, charcoal on sidewalks, trash. I mean, the amount of trash I saw on the streets at night. And I don't know if that was New York, but if you have a big event like New York City Pride, there's going to be a lot more people visiting New York City. And it's a lot. You have tourists who don't care, litter on the streets. You have people selling merchandise and things and stuff that's not supposed to last super long, so it ends up getting thrown away. Events were like Femme Fatale, where I went to, where you can get just plastic cup after plastic cup after plastic cup of fucking mixed drinks and plastic straws, and it's just continuously given out and given out. And it has an effect on the environment. And so what can we do to try fixing these things? And I mean, for pop-up events, that's a hard thing because you can't be transporting glass like that to a location where it can easily be knocked down. Glass gets in the street, someone cuts their foot, and it becomes an insurance issue. So what do you do? And it's hard. It's really hard. I have a new friend who's in environment, who's going to college to try answering these questions, who has a major that answers these questions. And I really want to bring them on to be like, hey, what do we do with this kind of stuff? What can we do? And I think if we just set up proper recycling facilities, New York had it. Not everybody followed it. But if we make sure that we're following it, we all do our part to recycle. And it'll be good. New York is one of the few states that actually has money incentive to recycle. Why don't we adopt that across every state? What if we had program like something in the cannabis industry where you earned reward points for shopping at a cannabis industry, certain dispensaries? What if you get reward points for bringing in your old plastic containers, glass containers, and recycling them in the dispensary for your old cartridges and recycling them? What if we, give incentive to companies that set up shop in Pride, to, little people who, mom and pop stations that do little pop-up events inside Pride? What if we give them incentives? The least trash they have, the better the venue they can get next year, the more welcome they are next year, and punish those who leave everything a mess. And these are just some ideas that I have, but we need to have a conversation about this. And we need to make sure that these events and our future is handed into the next generation with something other than a band-aid solution and empty promises. Because we're killing this earth. We really are. And I want to try fixing it. But I don't have the tools or the money to fix it all. But I do what I can. Sometimes I'm not in a situation where I can very easily. And that's why, to you listeners, I want you to help try thinking of things we can do. Support companies like the Honey Collective that are trying to get out there and trying to make a little bit of a difference. Go out and talk to your legislators, talk to cannabis companies, or try finding a way to make things a little better. Because we only have this one planet. And it would be a shame there's no future generations that can taste and inhale and just vibe with some good ass fucking weed that we grew on our home. It'd be a shame if there was no future generations that could be who they are and explore who they are and explore who they love and just be themselves on our home planet where we grew and evolved. It'll be a real shame if we cannot just come together and try healing Mother Earth. And it'll be a real shame if our species and all the species on this wonderful planet we call home just died out because of our arrogance and our stupidity. We've already killed a number of hundreds of species because of this. And we need to try finding a way to kind of fix it. And I know not every species of animals can be saved. Not every species of animals could be brought back. Not every plant or fauna or fungi or insect. But what if we could start making a difference now? To try making it a little bit better. To try, and just try, to do something about it. And I'll leave you with that thought of what we can do. My name is Rayven. I use she, her pronouns. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. If you want to contact us, you can reach us at our email, smokingoutthecloset@gmail.com, or Instagram at smokingoutthecloset, and our Twitter at smokingoutpod. And I'll leave you with that thought. And I hope to hear from some of you and talk to you in future episodes.